Okay. 153 minutes on the card, so not doing that. Welcome to Wrench Life.
Hello.
This is where you wrench your life. Can you believe this is episode 6 already?
Yeah.
Is it 6? Yeah, 5? 6. This would be 6 because 5 goes up today.
That's pretty crazy.
Because we're ahead of time. Yeah, this is my level look pretty good. So yeah, we did a couple already. We did one, we did the 3 different types of podcast, right? So we did the Mind Over Matter, the mom one. We did Freudian psychology. Then we jumped in on food, right?
Yeah,
food for
that was
thought.
last week.
And this one would be
Another mom?
no. This one's called
No.
We're gonna call, this series is Our Body in Real Time.
Ooh.
OBIRT. OBIRT? OBIRT? OBIRT. Whatever.
OBIRT.
This one might run a little long, so I'm going to play it by ear, and if it is in fact running long, we'll cut it and do a second one. But before we can do anything at all to talk about food at all, we really need to run down the basics of micronutrition and macronutrition, basically. That's a huge distinction that not enough people know about. So that's what today's going to be about, and I started outlining it, and then real quickly, well, not real quickly, because I've been working on this for like 2 days. Real quickly, I'm 6 pages down, but a lot of it should be pretty quick to get through. So, yeah. How you doing, Blaze?
I'm a little tired. They're refinishing the apartment down underneath mine.
Yeah.
I think sounded like they had a planer running all day.
Wow, let's need an
Pretty
airport for that.
Yeah. It's a whole
Planers
airport.
are, yeah.
It's either that or like they're refinishing the floors, but then the door was open and I didn't see any floors different, so I don't know what the hell they were doing.
It could have been a sander or a planer. They sound pretty similar.
All morning.
The planer's a little bit higher pitched.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. It's not their fault I wake up in the middle of the day like a garbage person, though, so I can't really get too upset.
Hey, listen, it's garbage can, not garbage cannot.
Really like that one.
All right, so here we go. This is micro and macro nutrition.
That was a microaggression.
Oh, God. It's about to be a macroaggression, all right, if you keep cutting me off.
All right, I'm ready. I took a kickboxing class once. All right, go on.
Nice. Did you get a kick out of it?
Yeah.
Wow. So this isn't about food, right? But it's about the building blocks of food and how they relate to our bodies and our lifestyles and at what time scale, right? So this is why this isn't in the food category, because this isn't really about the particulars of the food, although we will talk slightly about food. This is that connection where how the food relates to us and our health. So it's more about the body than the food, but this is kind of right in the middle, right? So before we can even get into that, there's 2 other things that are really, really, really important. But we have to do micro and macro before we can get into these next 2 things. But I'm going to touch on them briefly, just so because I'm going to mention them, so I have to outline them in the beginning. And that's nutrient density, which is if in all the Wrench Life documents, it'll be ND, nutrient density, and BA, bioavailability, right? So before we can even talk about the building blocks of food, we need to talk about the building blocks. Hold on a second. What did I write here? Oh, that the building blocks of food are, in fact, the building blocks of our body, right?
Yeah. You are what you eat.
Yeah, exactly. So these things meet at an intersection, which, as we said in the beginning, Wrench Life is all about intersections. So this is an intersection of your lifestyle and actually your DNA and how it affects your epigenetics, which we'll get into another podcast as well. So remember, Wrench Life is about navigating through these intersections between micro and macro, nutrient density, bioavailability, all these things, right? But, yeah. So, but right before I get to actually the nutrient density thing, I'm going to give you the outline of the whole podcast, right? So We're going to roughly touch on nutrient density and bioavailability. Then I'll do a breakdown on basically what we can do with the information in today's podcast. I'm going to give it to you first, so you'll be like, hopefully you'll be wanting the explanation, and you can go back to it later, right? Then we'll do the mindful moments. Then we'll break down micros and macros, right? Mm-hmm. And real important factor that you need to remember going forward is that carb essentially means sugar, right? Carb means, if I say carb, it means sugar.
I'm still upset about the video of the high fructose corn syrup truck at the Jenny Brewery.
Mm-hmm. You saw that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that truck parked out there all the time.
Bums me out.
Like, I understand you could use some sweetener, but a tanker, like, I don't know how much Jenny they're actually brewing, but
I mean, that's either way, it's still a lot.
That's why I stopped drinking cheap beer, because it's loaded with high fructose corn syrup. And when we later on do our podcast about sugars, you'll know why that's so terrible. Mm-hmm.
I can't stop drinking Jenny.
So, nutrient density. It's pretty obvious in the name, right? Plain and simple. It's how dense your food is in nutrient value. Wow. Mind-blowing, right?
It's crazy.
So here's a skate park analogy. If you had a 50,000 square foot skate park and right in the middle there was a 3-foot mini ramp, that's very little ramp density. Very little, right?
Yeah.
And that's compared to how much you could fit in there, right? So that's basically your food. You know, it's generally, like, you're going to eat roughly the same amount of calories per meal. That we all kind of do, right? But how much you get beyond those calories, but calories is just energy, right? Mm-hmm. What you get beyond that is completely dependent on your food choices. You can have, like, a big bowl of, bleached white rice, and you're going to get a ton of carbohydrates and energy, and you're going to get literally nothing else, right? So it's kind of like another analogy for you. Macros are the gas in the tank, and your micros are all the fluids and lubricants throughout. There's far fewer of them, but they are way more important. If you only ever put gas in your car and you never lubricate or anything else, it's going to seize. The motor's going to seize, and there are a lot of people that are seizing. Not like a seizure, but seizing, So, nutrient density, right? It's cool. So, this is a really important one, right? So, here's a list of some of the most nutrient-dense foods that exist, which are salmon, kale, beef liver, shellfish, egg yolk, garlic, blueberries, avocados, sardines, and cacao. That's right, chocolate.
But not chocolate cacao, because most chocolate is just like sugar.
Yeah, so it's 85% cacao and up, like really dark shit.
Yeah.
Dark stuff, sorry. Get the sugar out of there.
Yeah.
Right?
Hershey's is not chocolate, that's sugar.
Yes, exactly. Now, bioavailability is how available the micronutrients are within the food, right? This is the big, I wrote it that many times, big thing to take away from this, right? This is the big one, right? Everything, all your micro and macros are either water soluble or fat soluble, okay? Mm-hmm. So you need a good source of fat in every meal. This is like a huge thing for the vegans and the vegetarians. So, you
need a healthy fat for those things to bind to, or else
exactly.
they will be bioavailable.
If you're not eating any fats, it's really or you're not eating any animal products, it's really hard to get fats and good fats. So you should be going ham on avocados, and that was an ironic meat joke. Right? That's if you're not going to eat any animal products, like your options are like vegetable oils, which are garbage, or avocado.
Yeah, which is good, but
avocados are great, but
avocado oil is super expensive, and vegetable oils are a weird homogenization of a bunch of really not great oil.
Yeah, other good plant-based good fats would be like olive oil, coconut oil, and you should definitely avoid any industrial seed oils or any vague oils.
Margarine's basically plastic.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. That's the big thing with the oils is omega-3 versus omega-6, which we'll touch on that a little bit later. But that's a whole podcast in itself. But yeah. So if you're having a salad, a little bit of oil and vinegar, it's a great move. So I'm going to give you one. Here's the example, right? Here's a good example here. My mouth's mad dry today. Kale.
Kale, yeah, brother.
Kale, right? This is the example. Kale. I'm picked a particular thing to just break this analogy down, right? So kale is an excellent source of vitamin K, right?
It's a good way to remember it.
It actually has 1,000% of your daily recommended intake. That's your DRI.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. So if you don't eat any fat with your kale,
You don't get any of it?
that basically drops to zero. And the same happens with all the vitamin A in kale. And vitamin K is super important because it helps your blood clot. It's actually a cofactor in calcium. The way your body takes dietary calcium and stores it in the bones, it uses vitamin K to do so. So
Kale makes your bones strong.
it is a cofactor in it. So that there's all these complicated intersections between these things it can do. So, yeah, eat some fat. But it gets more complicated. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do for a living?
I cook.
Exactly. Cooking. Lucky for all you on blood thinners, vitamin K actually isn't affected by cooking.
That was actually what I was going to ask, is if it,
Yeah.
any of those vitamins.
But the 70% of your daily recommended intake of vitamin C, when you cook the kale, you're going to lose a lot of it. Oh, it gets better.
Oh.
Vitamin C is actually water soluble. So if you cook it and you boil it, well, then you're going to lose pretty much all of it.
Huh. So blanched kale is not...
Oh, blanched is probably okay.
No, because you boil it and then you stop the cooking process. So you don't cook it all the way, but...
Well, if it's not cooked all the way, it's probably all right. So yeah, basically, bioavailability is really complicated, and there's this really good tool you could use to figure those things out. It's called Google.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can always Google it. So generally, a quick steam is, you're all good. And a few keynotes here. Eat your veggies. That's all caps. Don't turn down the kale because it's cooked or something. Don't be a baby. Just eat your vegetables. Eat as much vegetables as you can in every way you can. Because even eating a lower nutrient density vegetable is better than not eating a vegetable.
Yep.
Right?
The worst thing that happens is you eat more vegetables.
Yeah, right? You should eat, what's Michael Pollan's rule?
Eat
mostly
food.
plants, right?
Yeah.
Eat food, not so much mostly plants,
Yeah.
right? And one other note there is for some people, their gut doesn't tolerate raw vegetables so well because the insoluble fiber. Well, then cook them. You can work on your gut health later. Okay, right?
Great.
So, this is that was just about bioavailability, right? Nutrient density, right? So, this will be a little more. This is also going to be technical, but this is going to be an example of what you can do with learning about micros and macros and how it relates to the value of food, right? We're going to do a good one here.
Boy.
We're going to do the epic battle between the lentil burger and the real burger.
That's beautiful. It's like poetry.
Oh.
It's gonna be a showdown, dude.
Oof.
Yeah. So, say you went into a restaurant, like your dad did.
And he ate all the food in the
I
restaurant.
heard your dad went into a restaurant and ate everything in the restaurant, and they had to close the restaurant.
And on the menu at that restaurant, they had a lentil burger and a real burger. So this is going to be the Wrench Life equation. So this will be macros divided by nutrient density equals X, and X is the food value. Right? We're going to take bioavailability out of this for now. We're also going to take the bun and all the other crap out of it as well. But a good rule for thumb is if you're going to get a burger of any sort, get as much vegetables on it as you can, because why not? Sneak them in there.
Sneaky.
This is the Wrench Life science of why a lentil burger does not stand a chance against a real burger in its food value.
Yeah.
And this is basically all on this is all on macros. So the reason is going to be the carbs versus the protein, right? So 100 grams of lentils and 100 grams of beef both contain 26 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at about the same amount of protein, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the kicker. Lentils have 60 grams of carbohydrates for the 30 grams of protein. How many carbohydrates do you think the fat has?
None?
Exactly.
Because it's fat.
But it does have 30 grams of not of sugar, 30 grams of fat.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying to get 26 grams of protein,
Mm-hmm.
you could either get 30 grams of fat or 60 grams of carbohydrates.
Well, that sounds like a pretty easy. Well, people think fat's bad, and it's not bad.
And although
It's good fat.
yeah, although lentils do score generally low in glycemic index, and it is a more complex carbohydrate.
Which means it won't get converted into, like, bad sugars into you?
Yeah,
right?
it just burns slower, essentially.
Okay.
You can get the same amount of protein with far few carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, you can get it with 0 carbohydrates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Compared, beef here is very low in glycemic index because there's no carbohydrates in it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at what the lentils do offer, right? Looks like about 8 grams of fiber. A quarter of that soluble fiber. So
you're getting
really not so much.
2 grams of fiber.
We're going to touch on the micros here just a tiny bit, right? The lentils have a pretty decent spectrum of B vitamins, but no B12. And looks like about 15% of your daily recommended allowance of choline and a decent amount of folate. So it's not too bad. I mean, if you're not going to eat meat, it's not terrible. Well, here's another one. The fat-soluble stuff in that burger, that lentil burger, you're not going to get any of the vitamin A, any of the vitamin E, or any of the vitamin K out of that lentil burger because you don't have a source of fat with it. So, I mean, it could have like a vegan mayonnaise or something on that.
What if it just had, like, a slab of avocado on it?
That would help.
Yeah.
You should put avocado on everything, really.
That's something I remember you saying forever ago. You're like, I just want to do well in life to add guacamole to anything I want without having to worry about it. That's
Yeah, right?
words to live by.
So, the lentils do have some minerals in it, but they're pretty negligible.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a somewhat solid source of protein as far as non-animal protein goes. So it's like not, on its own, it doesn't look that bad. But then you stack it up next to so we're going to say it's a grass-fed burger, right? It's going to just obliterate it. You go from less than 15% of a B vitamin spectrum and no B12 with the lentil. On the grass-fed burger, you're getting 60% of your daily B12, 45% of all your B3s and B6s, also 45% of a selenium, and actually, and your omega-3s, 35% of your zinc and your phosphorus, and it actually matches the choline in the lentils with 15%. And it has CLA, which is the good trans fat, conjugated linoleic acid. So you're looking at the micros, it's like it doesn't stand a chance. At the macros, it doesn't look so great. At the micros, it's horrible. It's again, if you really don't want to eat meat, I mean, it's the best shot you have probably. Who knows what those like 3D printed burgers are going to be like?
Yeah.
It's
those Impossible burgers or whatever.
Yeah, it's not really great.
Scary.
So that's just one food, and I know this sounds super complex. It's like, wow, there's a lot going on. But what I want people to take away from this is rough information, 2 or 3 points. Like, okay, what are the nutrient value? Like I said, the grass-fed burger. A regular burger is going to have a lot of that stuff, but a little bit less in the micros. Generally, between grass-fed stuff and regular stuff, your macros are the same. The micros are where the differences are made up. So that's why grass-fed stuff is better, and why generally organic stuff is better, because you get more of those micros. And the other thing I said in the beginning, that it's about time scale, essentially. Micros are daily, essentially.
Yeah.
There's actually a bunch of micro calculators online you could look up based on your lifestyle and your size. They'll tell you roughly what you should do, and I encourage you to play with those numbers a little bit. Obviously, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to eliminate carbohydrates. You should eliminate carbohydrates for the most part anyway, because you're living on that glucose roller coaster where you crash and burn all the time and you're tired. You're like, I'm tired. I still don't do anything after work because I'm tired. It's like, oh, are you tired?
Gime? What's a gime?
You don't even know what a gym is. You can't get to the gym because you're tired. It's like, oh, yeah, because
You're just going to make some lifestyle changes.
you're eating all
then
that
you won't be
sugar all the
tired.
time, and you're on the glucose roller coaster, and then you crash, and then you eat dinner, and you're like, bleh.
What exactly do B vitamins do for you? Like what is-
Everything.
Everything?
B12 is huge.
That's the one that is pretty much unavailable if you don't eat meat, right?
Yeah, there's no B12 is only in animal products.
Okay.
I have it in notes on my phone if you want to give me 30, not even 30 seconds, 10 seconds.
Yeah. Is that the one vitamin that your body shuts off the receptor for if you don't have it for too long? You're saying something once about
Yeah,
about vegan.
B12 deficiency causes permanent damage.
Yeah.
It's really important for brain health.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this note? Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah. So B12 is required in the human brain. It's not found in any plant forms. It's a cofactor in methylation. That's the DNA replication, how it turns on and off genes. So, it plays a factor in the development of neurotransmitters in the brain. It's also a cofactor in producing myelin. Myelin? Yeah, that's the protective sleeve around your nerves. One of my friends this week was saying he's having a carpal tunnel issue, and I said, are you eating enough animal products, you know? Because carpal tunnel could be repetitive use, or it could be that as well. Just the carpal tunnel, it's like the nerve sleeve is like binding in it's like you pinch your housing on your brake cable.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Yeah, totally. B12 is huge. B12, if you're not getting enough B12, it's very common to have brain fog. It's very common to get like flustered and confused and all those things that most people have all the time. It's very possible that not getting enough B12 and omega-3 is contributing to the mental health, I don't want to say crisis, but the state of mental health in people, and especially in the youth. The kids are developing brains are not getting enough B12, and then they're all, what does every kid have now? ADD.
Yeah.
They have trouble paying attention.
Yeah.
Well, what's the side effect of not getting enough B12? Oh.
Brain fog, not paying attention.
Oh,
loss of
wow.
interest, sadness.
How is this not? It blows my mind. This isn't the conversation people are having. They talk about all this childhood development, but no one's talking about like.
No one wants to talk about diet ever.
I put the dye in diet.
We're all putting the dye in diet. We're all dying.
Yes.
I'm 24 now. It's time to start dying.
I think you start dying around 21, actually.
Dang it.
Well, whatever.
I mean,
It's
good.
insane. It's just absolutely insane. That's why I take all my fish oils. Okay, so we're gonna do our mindful moments now.
Yes.
Then we're gonna break it. I'll break down the macros first, and if the time isn't too long, I'll break down the micros. Like I said, it's like a bunch of pages long, but a lot of them are really simple. Like zinc does this, comes from there.
Come back, zinc. Zinc. Ever
What's
seen
that?
that Simpsons
No.
episode? They're watching like terrible documentaries in class, and one of them is about if you didn't have zinc.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
There's like no zinc, the phones don't work, and then the kid tries to kill himself at the end. And he's like, your pistol doesn't work because there's no zinc. And he's like, no!
I don't even remember that. Sounds terrible, though.
That's a good one.
So, what do you got for me? Let's go backwards. Let's work. Just do the beautiful moment last. I think that's a better transition. So you got any anger, temper moments? Hold on.
Pack your all I hate, take a swing at the world.
Okay, so I know these will go live on Monday or Tuesday, but we're recording it today, which
Friday.
means last night was
Thursday.
which means I did.
Bowling.
Oh my God, dude. I was gonna lose it. Holy shit.
Were you upstairs?
No.
What?
We were, dude, I threw more gutter balls than I threw balls that hit pins in the game.
For those of you that don't know, Dave gets extremely angry while bowling.
And it's not
It's
even
pretty much the same as when you're trying a trick all day. I see the same angry Dave.
yeah. And it's insane. Like, and it's not about competition with other people. It's about competition with myself. I used to bowl, somewhat decent. Maybe averaged 115 on games. 120. Like, always broke 100. Always. Now I can't break like 70. And at one point, I threw 4 gutter balls in a row. I did 8 out of 10 gutter balls through the second half.
Oof.
Dude, it was so bad. And the first 3 frames, I did well.
Yeah.
I was, the lane felt good. I had a good curve going. I got a strike in the second frame, and I was like, oh shit, I got it. Like, it's back. I got my game back. And then it just deteriorated, and it's just like, I'm doing everything the way I think I should be doing it based on how it worked in the past, and there's seemingly nothing I can point out why it's not. I lost. Oh my God. I was so mad, and it's so silly because I'm so patient, and it's just one of those things. Last night was the maddest I've ever been, doing. I was pissed, dude. Way madder than any time filming a trick.
Wow.
I think one time I threw my gutter ball and I sat back down on the table like this and just kept my eyes closed, looking down, breathing steadily, trying to find my cool before my turn came around again. I was coming back the one time and Nate said something and I was like, don't fucking talk to me. I know I'm not trying to swear on the show, but
I can see it's too angry.
Dude, I was
angry.
So mad. So how about you?
I don't think I got that angry
That's
this
great.
week. Yeah, I don't know.
It's great to not get mad, and it's great that my one mad thing is just a funny mad thing, not a real mad thing.
I was real sad this week. Not a whole lot of anger.
You didn't have an anxiety attack or anything?
No, I did. I had I have one sad moment that'll go into a beautiful moment, but the other annoying thing that happened this week I don't really want to talk about on the podcast. But
it's very often that beautiful moments come out of sad moments.
Some of the best and worst of both are very tied together.
Yeah. We know this. We love this. This is the intro song. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Pastoral. So hit me with it.
Was that Tuesday I was at the park?
Mm-hmm.
I came in to ride for a little bit, and I was just not feeling it. I was just bummed. I was sitting at the mini ramp by myself.
It's hard to ride alone.
Yeah, it's how it always is for me, though. So I'm it's extra frustrating. I mean, the last few years riding with you is different, but most of my riding career is no one wants to ride. Okay. But I was just bumming. I even came up to the counter. I'm like, man, I'm bummed. I'm depressed. I'm this sucks. And then I just went out and I just kept trying ice fakies on the sub box, and I kept getting real close, and it was fun to fight with a trick and get one.
I love the battle.
Yeah, it was stupid because I just kept I kept messing up the fakie. I get all the way to the other wall, and then my foot would come off. I'm like, why? It doesn't make any sense. But then I did that, and I got another stupid line around the bowl, and I felt pretty all right. I felt a lot better.
There's always a weird thing when you ride alone where it's there's no one there watching, so you're why do you do it? And there's definitely a switch that happens in my head when I get into the zone where I could battle a trick without anyone around. You know?
I don't usually find that that space when I'm alone, but because I'm just usually too injured and I don't want to push myself anyway.
Yeah.
So it's when I get people to ride with, then I get that switch. Cool, there's energy, there's people to ride with, there's something to feed off of. When I'm just staring at it, I'm I could do anything on this. Then the anxiety kicks in. I'm well, if I do that, I might get hurt this way, and then I just don't do anything. So it was nice to try and break through that and just.
Bikes are great.
Yeah. Been trying to free the spine more. That's fun. Been trying to get my box jump tricks back. That's scary.
I'm thinking about cutting down the cranks box into a normal flat deck jump. What do you think about that?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to 3 it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be cool to have like a fly out spot or like a box or something. Because the best fly out right now is like the hip.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
That's a skate park podcast.
Skate park podcast, wrong one. So I had a pretty beautiful moment. And it was only beautiful because it was a little like hurdle. Like, so, well, the moment was beautiful, but what led to it made it beautiful. You know me, I'm always doing a bunch of shit all the time, bunch of stuff all the time, and quite frequently, when I hang out with the girlfriend, we always say, "Oh, we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that," and then a lot of times we don't because I work a lot and I'm really busy a lot, and she's a single mom, and so that when we finally get our time to relax, it's like we just end up sitting down. And it's like, and that's nice.
Yeah.
But it irks me that I'm always like, we're gonna do this, and then we just don't, And what is it? So I think it's on Wednesday. She doesn't work, and I don't work till the afternoon. And I was like, I made sure I got everything done on Tuesday. And we're like, we're gonna do this and that, and then she came over, and then we just laid down, and it was, it's nice. And then I think we might have even acknowledged to ourselves, so we're not gonna leave the house, are we? And I was like,
Yeah.
it just, and it was really nice on Wednesday too, and we basically decided we weren't, and then I was like, no, we're doing it, we're getting up. So that was like that moment where we actually were like, all right, no, we're gonna do it, it's gonna be worth it, and we basically just went to Durand and walked around the trails a little bit.
That's
And
great.
there's this really cool spot.
With the castle?
No, it's there's 2 lakes in Durand. It's Eastman Lake and Durand Lake, and I don't remember which one it is, but there's a 50-50 shot of getting it here, so let's say it's Durand Lake. And there's like a little peninsula, and on the peninsula there's like this bench. It's actually one of our customers, Duke. He's an older skateboarder guy. I think it was his brother passed away.
Oh,
it was
really?
a spot he liked, and they allowed them to call it like I forget his name. Maybe it's Clark or Colin or something like that, but it's like Colin's Point or something. So there's like a little bench and like a plaque, and it's like, the lake goes right up to whatever the road that goes through Durand is. So when you're sitting on the bench, you're either looking long ways across the pond into the woods, or you're looking the other way and across the pond and then over out into the Great Lake. And it was, 50-something degrees. It was nice and mild, and we did the walk, and we left the house, and we did it, and it was great, and it was nice, and could have been a touch warmer because once you're not walking anymore. But
Yeah. That's a little cold.
it was a really good experience. She'd never been in Durand before.
Really?
At least not in
That part?
not in the non-beach part of Durand. There's a lot of great trails back there.
So
So it was really awesome. Like it was weird for me to walk on trails that I only ever ridden. I never rode on any of those trails. I mean, I never walked any of them. I just ride through. So that was it was actually quite awesome. We came home and I made breakfast, but it was like probably 2 in the afternoon.
Today's breakfast time.
So I had like a 20-hour fast or something.
Sick.
It was really great. It was just,
That's beautiful. It's like poetry.
yeah. It was nice. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Great. Well, that's awesome. I got really drunk on Wednesday night.
Thanks for the invite.
That was bad.
What did I do on Wednesday? Wednesday. Yesterday was Thursday. What the hell did I do on Wednesday? Oh, I went to the girlfriend's house.
Yeah.
Because normally we hang out on Tuesday nights, but I saw Amy Levere at Abilene. The show was really good.
Yeah.
I was the youngest person there. Like, without any question, period. Like, there wasn't even someone that you could be like, maybe? No.
No.
I was the youngest person there. The show was great. Amy Levere is phenomenal.
Yeah, I
Plays
saw that.
upright bass.
I saw that the Insta or Snap story about it.
It's great. They had Space Kitty there,
Sweet.
so I had a couple of those.
There you go.
Yeah. It might have been the Space Kitties that may have enticed me to have ambitious text messages like, we should go to Durand and, oh, whatever. Anyway, we're going to jump back in here.
Macronutrition.
We're going to go over your macros, baby.
Macro.
Yo, you count your macros, bro? You count your macros, bro?
Yeah, bro.
Any assholes that count them? Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. Count their macros. I don't think counting your macros is important. I think it's a useful tool to go online, look up some macro counters, see what they tell you to do, and then maybe play around a little bit with it. Like, here's an example of how it worked out for me. When I first tried to do intermittent fasting, it didn't work. After 2 weeks, my energy just dropped. I didn't really even know what happened. But later on, after I had really cut my carbohydrates down and cut out my sugars, I tried fasting again, and it worked fantastic. So in hindsight, I now realize that for me personally, my sugar intake was just too high to be able to make it through fasting because I was riding the glucose roller coaster too much. I was still, grabbing a Cliff Bar. I'd get up, I'd have breakfast as soon as I woke up. Then I'd have a Cliff Bar going to ride, right? Then I tried to fast, so I would try to cut out the breakfast. And then I wasn't used to going that long without eating. I was too used to the ups and downs. I was eating something that was going to spike my sugar before I started riding, so I had to retrain my body to ride in a fasted state and to not be not have my body looking for the glucose stored in my muscles that I had to be riding in a blood ketone type deal.
Yeah, that's interesting because when I started doing the intermittent fast or being more conscious of it when you started doing it, and I just decided not to eat until I absolutely had to, and now I go to the gym every time. If I go to the gym in the morning, I don't eat before, so I do a fasted. It's not just cardio; it's full body workout.
Yeah.
So it's I'll stop eating at, I don't know, sometimes I do a 12-hour fast at least every day.
Yeah, you should do at least a 12-hour fast.
Yeah.
There's the one study they always cite in fasting research was women that had breast cancer. One group of women got to just go do whatever they wanted. Another group of women did 12-hour intermittent fasts, and they were allowed to drink tea and coffee within their fast. So 12 hours isn't even that much.
No.
But the women who fasted had 36% less, what's it called when cancer comes back? Relapse?
No. Remission? Or no, sorry.
Remission? Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
remission.
relapse.
Well,
basically, the women that fasted 12 hours a day, had 30% less chance of cancer coming back. So that's pretty significant. That's just 12 hours of fasting.
That's just not eating until
that's
the
basically
middle of the
pushing back your breakfast a little bit, not having that late night snack. Essentially, not sitting in front of the TV, eating a whole sleeve of Oreos. Rich, I just really like cookies. Maybe it was Chips Ahoy. I don't remember.
But what I'm saying is I ride the roller coaster. I'm pretty much all glucose. I drink cheap beer and I eat a lot of carbs. I ate a bowl of pasta for dinner last night. I didn't eat much else yesterday.
So one of the interesting things about that is that in the morning, your insulin tolerance is at its peak. But what you do get out of complex carbohydrates, the benefits you get from them are more beneficial later in the day for some reason. And I don't know exactly the science on that, which is interesting. So obviously, it's reinforcing what we know. Complex carbs are better than simple carbs, and you should never eat refined carbs, which is actually what I'm about to get into right now. So your macros, ready? Generally speaking, macros are energy, and they provide growth. It's energy and growth in the body, right? Carbohydrates, aka sugar. Proteins, aka lipids, and fats, right? So here's something we could plug back into that thing we talked about earlier. Generally, carbs and protein are 4 calories per gram, and fats are 9 calories per gram. So when you go back to that, the fat versus the carb in the lentil burger, actually how many calories are based in those grams is actually pretty similar. But you're not on the glucose roller coaster with the fat. So let's talk about carbs here. Let's talk about carbs, aka sugar. Because what do we say? Carbs are sugar, right?
Yeah.
We know that. everyone knows that sugar is like a whole nother podcast. Each one of these things, we probably will do a podcast on the specifics of it. This is going to try to keep it low resolution, right? So to understand carbs, you kind of need a little background on grains, because carbs are mostly coming from grains, right? Mm-hmm. What are the three parts of the grain, you know?
The sperm, the germ,
sperm.
endosperm. It's not. No, it's all three. Pretty much the same thing.
It's endosperm is one.
Mm-hmm. I remember we had a diagram about this in culinary class. I don't remember.
Well, you said germ already.
Yeah, germ, endosperm.
And the bran.
The bran,
okay.
which is the outside, right?
Yep. Great. Fantastic. Did you used to work at a bakery?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
sure did.
So the bran is the outer layer, and it's rich in fiber. The fiber would help everything get through the digestive system. The germ is the inner layer, which is rich in all your nutrients, right? And the endosperm is the bulk of it. It's of the kernel. It contains some vitamins and minerals, but for the most part, that's really where the carbs are. That's where your refined carbs are, right? There are three types of carbohydrates: refined, simple, and complex, right? Now, here's a cool story that kind of ties, or a cool little thing that ties to Rochester, you know, the flour city. Rochester is the flour city, Flower. It used to be the flour city, Flour, right? Because we have the Genesee River and high falls, low falls, middle falls. We could use that hydropower to crush grain, right? So you can kind of blame America's fat problem on rich people, or more specifically on the envy of rich people, because back in the day, rich people would pay servants to grind up their flour super, super fine. They'd get all the germ and the endosperm, as much of it out of it as they can, and then when hydro power came along, they could further that process. But it became a thing where poor people had whole grain breads that were like, yeah, I guess not as good because there's less sugar, so they're more, you know, bread's a whole crazy thing. Like what we have is bread people 1,000 years ago would not recognize as
Bread.
They'd be like, what is this sponge thing?
Yeah.
But rich people
Had white bread.
I'm sorry, poor people envied the nice, fine, sweeter breads rich people had. So that primed the market to make, you know, to over process their breads. And actually what happened with this is where Wonder Bread came from. We had all these like basically this is the inception of refined carbohydrates, is they would just grind them so fine that they're just like this. It's like basically like it's like cocaine of wheat essentially. And then people were getting scurvy in America, so they started to fortify the bread. That's Wonder Bread. They took the wheat that had the germ and the endosperm and the bran and had everything you needed, the fiber and the micronutrient, and then they said, all right, let's throw away all this crap that's good.
Yeah.
Take just the sugars, make this product. Oh shit, the product's not right. All right, well we're gonna fortify it with these. We're gonna enrich it with vitamins and minerals that we're gonna develop in a lab or something. Not just take a step back in the process and fix the system.
Yeah.
That's the difference between we said corporatism and capitalism. Big problem, right? Big problem. So, give you some examples of some carbs, just so we know. You know, carbs: bread, pasta, rice, nuts, candy, cakes. Refined carbs are absolutely terrible. You should avoid them like the plague. Your refined carbs, you look at, that's like bleached flour and processed flours and processed sugars and anything with hydrogenated, brominated crap. It's pure garbage. Don't eat that crap.
It's no good.
Your simple carbs are, you know, generally the rules, they have one or two sugar molecules, not just a simplified, you know, micro version of one. So a simple carb would be like a pasta, which is, you know, you make a dough. It's you know, they've been doing it like that for hundreds of years. You know, it's a simple carb. It's not terrible. And generally, carbs will give you a quick source of energy. They are digested rapidly. That is the glucose roller coaster effect we talked about. They're basically kind of like the real version of what the processed carbs would be, you know, like a real dough and real bread or whatever, you know. Complex carbs are basically born of whole grains. They also sometimes are referred to as dietary starches, which further differentiates them. They're made of sugar molecules that are strung together in more complex. They kind of look like a necklace or a branch, like a coil. It's a more complex thing. That's why they call them complex, because they're molecularly complex. They're often rich in the fiber because they have the endosperm there, so they digest better. Everything about them is better. Realistically, the only carbs you should eat are complex carbs, really, but some simple carbs, okay. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that whole plant foods are basically carbohydrates. Like broccoli is a carb, but there's so much going on in it, and the complexity of the what's the word? Phytonutrients in plants is so complex, it requires so much energy to break down those molecules that it outweighs the glycemic spike that you would get from it, the carbohydrates that are actually in it.
I see.
Yeah. What do we say? Eat your damn vegetables. Stop being a baby. Just eat them.
I don't want
I
to
don't
eat
like
damn
broccoli.
vegetables.
What's that Daniel Tosh joke that broccoli's a lot like anal if you're forced to have it like a
like
kid?
spinach,
You can't appreciate it as an adult. It's a terrible joke.
Plus, they're both green, you know.
Oh, Jesus. That's hilarious.
Such a good joke.
Yeah, your complex carbs are great. Man, that's vegetables, essentially. Most people don't realize that vegetables are carbohydrates. But you'll know that, like, it's obvious, like, a potato is more starchy. It's a dietary starch, carbohydrate, than a broccoli.
A broccoli.
Moving along. Eat your vegetables. Next, protein. Eat your protein. You should eat protein. Protein's great for you.
It's good.
Protein is a nutrient needed by the body for growth and maintenance. Aside from water, proteins are the most abundant kind of molecule in the body. Proteins can be found in all cells of the body, all the major structural components, and the cells within those structural components, especially muscle. Right? But that's not limited to muscle. They're also in your organs, in your hair, in your skin. Protein is also in the membranes around other things. Oh man, this is pretty technical here. We got glycoproteins, that's what the type of protein that are in your membranes. Those get broken down into amino acids. Those are the precursors to nucleic acid, which is a coenzyme that makes hormones. It's involved in immune response, cellular repair, and other molecules that are essential for life.
Sounds important.
Protein is also needed to form blood.
You need that.
Interesting about protein is most people actually eat enough protein. It's one of those things that, like, you just, like, crave it when you need it. They don't really understand why with protein that works, but with other macros it doesn't. So generally most people eat enough protein unless they've chosen some sort of philosophy or ideology that is saying, I'm not going to eat protein because protein's bad because it hurts my feelings or something like that. Not trying to talk shit, but I'm talking shit.
You're not killing anything by eating grains.
Proteins are essential for the human body, okay? In terms of the body, if it's ever called essential, it means it is not created in the body, but it is needed in the body. That's what essential means regarding food stuff, right? Like I said, they're the building blocks of your tissue and the proteins and the polymer chains and the amino acids, like the peptide bonds. It's everything. Like it's like the structure of everything. If you don't eat protein, like, your body cannot fix itself, dude. That's why power lifters and gym guys love eating meat, because when they're working out, they're tearing those muscle fibers and they need to repair it.
Makes
Your body
sense.
has this crazy way of taking proteins and breaking them down into pieces and reassembling them into other things they need, you know? So that's why there's only... Proteins are kind of just proteins. It's not as complex as, like, the micros. Because your body has evolved really well to kind of handle all of them.
But humans shouldn't eat meat, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
There are actually 9 essential amino acids. And like I said, essential means they are not created in the body. You have to get them through diet. And if you don't, you'll get protein energy malnutrition, which can result in death.
That's not
So I
good.
thought it'd be funny to list some of these proteins just because I'm terrible at pronouncing things. So they're phylalanine, valine, threonine, tryptophan. Oh, it's tryptophan.
Tryptophan.
Methionine, lysine, isolysine, lysine, histidine.
Beta hydroxybutyrate.
Oh no, that's later. We'll talk about beta hydroxybutyrate later, not in this podcast. Yeah, those are the 9 essentials. Then there are 5 amino acids that the body can produce on its own from those 9. And I'm not going to read those because I've embarrassed myself enough, right? Yeah, so when you use your muscles, they get damaged. When you live, there's damage. Dietary protein is giving you the material to fix the damage.
Breathing slowly kills you.
Yeah. Here's your analogy. Life is a river, right? And protein is like the sediment that's on the bottom of the river, right? And it's constantly getting washed downstream, but it's constantly coming in from upstream through the runoff and through the erosion, right? But if you don't have more silt and dirt coming into the water, well, then that riverbed goes down to bedrock, and then you get buried because you're dead. So
Bioavailability.
eat your freaking protein, dude.
Eat it. Eat the protein.
Fat. Based on the time here, we're going to do fats, and then we're going to save micronutrition for another one.
Sweet.
So this is fat, and I wrote it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 T's.
Ooh,
I love good fats.
good fats.
Can you name the 4 fats?
No.
Really? You try?
No.
Well, you're saturated fat.
Oh, saturated, unsaturated. No? Those are
Well, kind of.
so okay. No. I got to, no.
No, it's fine. Well, you're on the right track because there's monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, and they're different, but
Yeah.
they're both the unsaturated fats, and then there's trans fats. The big thing to take away from the fats is the omega-3 to 6 ratio is really, really, really important, right?
Yep.
I say I eat a fat-based diet. I do not do keto. I do eat carbohydrates, but generally fat-based, and that means that the primary source of energy in my body is through dietary fat, right? So saturated fat, that's beef, liver, pork, cream, butter, ghee. It's in some smaller amounts in like coconut and egg yolk. Right, those are all good fun stuff. I love all that stuff.
I bought a tub of ghee butter this week.
Oh,
Hearts is closing, so 10% off. I got
not bad.
$2 off.
Monounsaturated fats are also great for you. That's saturated fats great for you. If anyone tells you fat's bad for you, they're wrong. They're an idiot. Wrong.
You are fake news.
Yeah.
Fat's not bad for you.
It's good.
Saturated fat is great for you. Anyone that still says eating fat raises your cholesterol and risk of heart attack does not know that the science has changed. And if your doctor tells you that, your doctor's wrong, and I'll give you $1,000. Well, I'm not going to give you $1,000, but I would bet $1,000 that they're wrong, because they're wrong. Anyway, monounsaturated fats, also good for you. That would be olive oil and olives, macadamia nuts, avocado, almonds, duck, fat, egg yolk. Those are good. One thing you need to watch with the monos is they tend to be higher in the omega-6, especially with nuts and avocado. But there's things you can do to balance that out, right? Trans fats. Trans fats is an interesting one because I actually didn't know there was good trans fats. I only thought there was bad trans fats. I thought trans fats were just like the made-up ones. But it turns out trans fats, natural, well, they have artificial and natural. So artificial trans fats are garbage. Natural trans fats are actually really good for you, and you only need you don't need a lot of them. You can also hear it referred to as CLA, conjugated linoleic acid. That'd be in grass-fed dairy, which will have 3 to 5 times as much of it versus industrial dairy or beef. It's in anything that has cow milk or beef, lamb, a little bit in pork, right? artificial trans fat is pure garbage, absolute dog crap. That's like margarine,
Yeah.
fake fats. That's just like the worst crap in the world. It's the fat they use. It's like the crappy oil they use in processed foods and cakes and all that garbage.
Fake food.
You are fake food.
You are fake news.
Polyunsaturated fats. This is really the omega battlefield we were talked about a little bit earlier. You know the 3 types of omega-3 fatty acid?
No.
Really?
Yeah. I probably do if you start saying it, but I don't know.
EPA,
Oh,
DHA, ALA.
I wouldn't have guessed any of those.
I don't know what any of those stand for.
Cool.
I know A. That's alpha linolenic acid. I know that one. I don't know the other ones. Omega-3 is the shit. It's the best thing for you. It's generally speaking anti-inflammatory. It's mostly found in deep greens and algae or the planets or the animals that eat those plants. Omega-6 is generally found in seeds and the animals that eat seeds. And it's associated with higher rates of general inflammation throughout the body. It may be one of the main pieces in the American obesity epidemic. In this book, not this book, damn it, the other book, Chris Kresser's book. I should say all this information I'm reading you now, a lot of it came, well, the fats is all coming from Kresser's book, The Paleo Code. Everything else was from healthline.com. In the Paleo Code, Kresser talks about the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, and that in Paleolithic man, in the diet we evolved to eat, the omega-3 to 6 ratio would be like 1 to 3, 1 to 2, 1 to 4. Modern people, it's more like 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 50 in some, if you have a really, really simplified Western diet. And the problem there, like we said earlier, omega-3 and 6 is found in the plants and then in the animals that eat the plants. So if you're eating only industrial meat that's getting fed only corn, there's not going to be much omega-3 in that beef. That's why grass-fed beef is that much better. Because you should be looking at that omega-3 ratio. That's why I do all my fish oils and all that stuff. And yeah, generally, it looks like, it doesn't look like, I think that research isn't totally clear, but the more omega-6 you have, the more likely you have global inflammation. And omega-3 kind of just is like there. Like, it's not like there's a golden ratio. It's like omega-3 helps, omega-6 hurts, and it's like, I think they're not exactly clear about that yet. I'm sure they're working on it, they being Major League Baseball. Here's a little quick cheat sheet for our listeners. The oil cheat sheet. Oils you should use, good fats you should cook with, oils that are not just okay, but they are good. Coconut oil, palm oil, olive oil, ghee, butter, lard, any animal fat, essentially. What oils you should avoid at all times are any of the industrial seed oils, soybean oil, peanut oil, corn oil, saffron oil. I wrote canal. I know it should say canola. Canola oil, sunflower oil, right?
Do you know what canola oil is made from?
Rape seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't call it that. Yeah, also, if you haven't messed with cooking with a diverse range of oils, there's something you should be wary of. What is it?
What?
Smoke point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I mean, a lot of those, like, super complex oils, like avocado and coconut and all the clarified ghee butters are for ridiculously high smoke point. You can heat them up quite a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas, which the clarification is pulling out, like if you have a clarified ghee butter, that's pulling out all the solids and the proteins out. Is there?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Like the milk solids and stuff. So you're left with just the fat. So that's why clarified butter is like a higher smoke point because there's less in there to burn. So
it makes sense. I know some people that are lactose intolerant can tolerate ghee.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because it's just the fat and there's no dairy in there anymore. I guess it would be.
We just trace amounts, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why if you like put
I did not know that.
a tab of butter in a pan and you watch it, you can see with the clear parts is the clarified butter coming out and the white that's still in there. Oh. And when you're browning butter, that's browning all the milk solids that are in there.
You can brown butter.
You never heard of that?
Imagine a ball of meat that gives you butter.
It's gonna happen.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, if you need to look up smoke points, you can check out that thing on the web called Google.
Yeah.
If you want to go more in depth into this, the macros in here, you can check out Chris Kresser's book, The Paleo Code. It's like the encyclopedia for this stuff, man. It's super thorough. I'm just trying to be like the medium between this and that. You know, you don't have time to read that book. Reading's hard. Although the book has a lot of graphs and stuff. It's a really easy read.
Giraffes?
It's got giraffes, yeah.
Sweet. They're tall.
Man, I heard a giraffe joke the other day. It was
Giraffes can grow up to 15 feet, but usually they just have 4.
oh yeah, that was it.
That's so good.
That's really funny. But giraffes don't even have feet though. Don't they have hoofs? Hooves?
Yeah, I guess they don't grow any feet.
Gasp.
Or is a foot a hoof, or is a hoof a foot?
Ooh.
Or is it a dumpling or a Pop-Tart?
It's a Pop-Tart. Oh yeah, so that was another dense podcast. We'll probably
Very nutrient dense.
What?
Very.
We'll jump back in on the macros later. That one will be pretty just information based. But just a brief recap. We talked about nutrient density, how much nutrients is in your food. We talked about bioavailability, how available those nutrients are based on environmental factors, among other things. And then we broke down carbs, protein, and fat. Right? Generally, my advice to you would be eat less carbs. Don't eat any. You should cut out sugars. All your sugars, unless you absolutely need them in certain things. Like if you're putting sugar in your coffee, start weaning yourself off it. You don't need it.
Drinking black coffee, drinking black coffee.
I mean, you can put milk. Now that I don't eat sugar, when I put milk in my coffee, it tastes sweeter. Like I could taste, like it's like you're so inundated with sugar and artificial flavoring and all that crap. You're just like numbed out, and then you get rid of it, and all of a sudden, like when I eat a bag of carrots now, because I will sit down and eat a whole bag of carrots, you can taste the difference between the carrots. It's like really like distinct, like even from the bottom of the carrot to the top of the carrot, and varying bags of carrots, or even within the same bag of carrots. Like it's like the resolution of flavor and sweetness has just expanded because I'm not inundating my tongue with just sugar. If I have soda or like candy, I'm like, oh my god, it's like so powerful, pungent.
There's a couple of chefs from Quebec that have a restaurant, and they made like a foie gras bunned double down sandwich, and he's like, this is for the generation of like hyper colored.
What's foie gras?
Foie gras is the engorged duck liver that people get all upset about because they think it's animal cruelty, because it's basically an overfed duck that has a sick liver that's this big.
Oh yeah,
and
it sounds kind of
super
fucked up.
fatty. Well, they force feed them, but ducks don't have any like.
Well, does it taste good?
Yeah, it's
Oh, it's
delicious.
worth it,
It's like
man.
super fatty.
No,
It's like super good. But the thing
Well,
is,
they
like,
should just take alcoholics that have fatty liver and then just kill them. We can eat those.
yeah,
Okay.
I've always said we should fix the overpopulation and world hunger by combining the two.
What? That's
pretty good.
Genius. We should get you on TED Talk.
Yeah,
You'd say that sentence and then walk off, and everyone's like, "What?"
yeah. Just feed all the fat dumb people to the poor kids. It's done. All right, let's end on that. That's a good note.
Yeah, we're gonna end on cannibalism.
What are the
For the record,
macronutrients?
we don't support cannibalism, and we
I
don't
do.
support animal cruelty. We support sound, conscientious food choices with a global view of the world.
That's a way better synopsis than cannibalism. I'm out. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go get some food right now. Oh, it's 1:00. I haven't eaten since I'm probably broke 14 hours again. That's a good thing. A good long fast. That's a beautiful thing.
I don't know when I stopped eating at like.
You gotta like the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes. Watch it on YouTube. Give us a comment. Like I said, I want to get into some consultation. If you have any particular questions, email me, wrenchyourlife@gmail.com, or DM us on Instagram. I'm here for you, baby.